So I have the honor today of presenting the second annual Global Cancer Research Humanitarian Award. Sadly, this award is being presented posthumously in honor of Dr. Rachel Perline, who was a third-year medical oncology fellow at UCSF at the time of her death in 2015. As a teenager, Rachel lost her mom to breast cancer, and from that point on, her goal was to become an oncologist. After she graduated from Brown, she attended medical school at Tulane, where she earned her MPH degree as well. While in medical school, Rachel's passion for global health was ignited, and she completed rotations in South Africa, Haiti, Romania, and China. For her work, she received Tulane's Award for Outstanding International Relationships. During medical school, Rachel was also the recipient of a prestigious Fogarty International Clinical Research Fellowship, during which she spent a year in Nanjing, China. In preparing for this award presentation, I interviewed several people who knew Rachel during her Fogarty Fellowship. Kate Musig was a colleague from UNC who met Rachel while working at the China CDC when she came to Nanjing as a Fogarty International Center research scholar. During her year in China, Rachel worked at the National Center for STD Control. Briefly after arriving, she began helping to plan events for World AIDS Day. Her vision translated to public performances and public education at one of the most visible sites in the city, the Central Train Station. The event brought together Chinese and international students and local citizens to publicize and destigmatize HIV/AIDS. She worked on a number of projects that year, including an analysis of marked increase in sexually transmitted infections amongst older adults in China, and an analysis of azithromycin-resistant strains of gonorrhea identified in 2 Chinese cities. She led the English Language Scientific Journal Club for the center's students and young professionals. Rachel embraced life in China and became like an adopted daughter to her host family, tutoring their young daughter in the evenings. Though she was a world traveler, China was a particularly meaningful place for her. Rachel went on to complete her internal medicine residency at NYU in 2013, where she's remembered for breaking down cultural barriers on the wards to ensure that all patients received appropriate care. A former co-resident recounted an instance in which Rachel drank barium in front of her non-English speaking patients to prove its safety. During residency, Rachel returned to China and spent a month in Beijing conducting a cohort study looking at risk factors for esophageal cancer. She wrote in her application to fellowship of plans to continue collaborations with her Chinese colleagues, and she sought a position at UCSF in the Hem/Onc Fellowship Program with intentions to leverage its West Coast location and China connections to develop a career focused on gastrointestinal cancer research in China. 7 months into her fellowship, Rachel was diagnosed with stage 4 gastric cancer. This was exactly 2 years ago. I know this because I recall receiving a text message from Rachel the day of the 2014 Global Cancer Research Symposium in Boston. It was a picture of Rachel and one of our UCSF residents taken in front of our poster at the meeting. I was initially really confused about why I was getting this picture, but then I realized that just a few days after her cancer diagnosis, an event that would have paralyzed most of us, Rachel jumped on a plane, flew across the country to go learn about global cancer research. Although today's award is to honor her professional accomplishments, I feel compelled to share an email that Rachel wrote around the time of her diagnosis. She said in an email, "Just last week I was diagnosed with stage 4 gastric cancer. I've been joyously overwhelmed by the incredible treatment team that has been assembled on my behalf. I've shifted to become a research fellow and hope to continue being an active part of my fellowship program. I just finished my first day of Full Fox. I'm feeling great. Went on a 2-mile run with my dad the day before chemo, and I'm mentally excited by the challenge of this new adventure. I feel that so much has been invested in me up until this point, and I sincerely hope that I can convert what I have learned and experienced working with all of you in my adventuresome past into something positive. I've always said that I've been blessed to have such incredible mentorship." Rachel never faltered in her commitment to a career in oncology, and she remained an oncology fellow while undergoing treatment at UCSF. For the next 20 months, she remained a part of our community as both our patient and our colleague. Rachel chose to be open about her illness, inviting friends and colleagues to follow along, providing insight into her cancer care and treatment through the lens of both a physician and a patient. She never stopped looking for ways that others could learn from her experience. Moreover, her dedication to patient care and teaching was astonishing. Through her 20 months of treatment, Rachel missed only a handful of her weekly continuity clinics. She viewed the practice of medicine as a privilege, always striving to serve her patients better. One of her co-fellows shared with me a snippet from time spent with Rachel towards the end of her illness while they were sitting in an ER during a flare of abdominal pain. Her co-fellow wrote to me, "We were sitting there waiting to be seen, and we started talking about her goals of care. She was adamant about not prolonging her suffering, and in an effort to lighten her mood, I asked her what she would do if she got past all this, what would make her the happiest. She didn't miss a beat, and she told me she would want to be a doctor and continue caring for patients." Rachel was a doctor of the world. She cared for patients in hospitals and clinics in the US, Romania, China, and South Africa. She provided on-site care after Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy, and the earthquake in Haiti. Rachel passed away on November 5th, 2015. At the time of her death, she was a third-year fellow in the UCSF Hematology Oncology Fellowship Program. In her truncated life, her ambitions were hardly unfulfilled, and she accomplished more than most people do in lives twice as long. She remains a positive force for all of us in research, patient care, and passion for life. After Rachel's death, her Fogarty mentor and world-renowned infectious disease physician researcher Myron Cohen wrote, "Rachel was a special young woman, and we are all richer for knowing her. I am so sorry that her time was so short, but it was spent with great purpose and success and love and generosity of spirit." Rachel's death is particularly poignant loss for the global cancer community, as I'm sure she would have been here with us today with her usual abundance of energy and dedication to learning, teaching, and exchanging ideas. Rachel has a video on YouTube, and as evidence of the fact that she reached every corner of the world and had friends globally, she had no choice but to put a goodbye message on the internet to share with all of her friends and supporters. This award is presented today in recognition of Rachel's undeterred commitment to global cancer research. It is in recognition of her unwavering commitment to the care of patients and to the lives she changed. And it is recognition of her indomitable spirit and the communities that miss her today. I'd like to invite John Flanagan from the NCI to present this posthumous award to Rachel's father, Donald Perline, and sister, Sarah Perline.
So I'm pleased on behalf of the NCI to pass on this award, although the circumstances are sad, and want to point out here, as it appears on this plaque, that this award has now been renamed the Perline Global Cancer Research Humanitarian Award, and as many people receive it in the future, they'll be reminded of your daughter and her commitment to cancer research during the time that she was with us.
John, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this honor. Catherine, that lovely introduction. John, thank you. I think one of the things that makes me happy is that Rachel's influence will continue, and hopefully more doctors will have some idea of what she was doing, and hopefully everybody will be improved. Thank you very much.